Hello. Hey, I wanted to go live for the first time. I'm not a big YouTube person, but uh, I want this up here so that people who have subscribed can follow what's going on at the 400 location in southern Missouri. I've got a lot of friends and members who are aware of what's going on this property. So when I say something that's happening, they are fully aware because they stay up with what's going on. At the top of my channel, you will see a link to Ozark Mountain Sasquatch, and that's Shane's channel. You really need to go to his if you want to get the all the pre-information of how this property was set up and all the stuff that was going on there before I even got involved. And Shane has done a wonderful job of documenting all of that stuff. But I wanted to go over what happened this past week when I was out there. I went out there on the 1st of August, and it was really hot. Uh, Shane couldn't get out there until Thursday after he got off work. So I was there for almost for 4 days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, for 4 days before he got there. And it was pretty quiet. Nothing significant happened to, that you could actually say that, anything was going on the property. It had been a long stretch since Shane and I had been out there because he had some work obligations that he had to take care of for quite a while in out of state. So it's been a minute since we've been out there. So we were a little apprehensive about any activity that was going on. Hey, I'm going to hit this light behind me. So we were both a little apprehensive about, you know, any activity that may or may not be going on out there, but we had to show up, so we can get back on top of things out there. Anyways, so Shane shows up on Thursday, which was the 4th, and I think it was Friday we put out our first recorder. And what I've got these logs that I've made that have cubby holes built into them where I can leave a parabolic and a recorder, and you can set these logs around wherever you want to, and they're pretty well hidden. So we put some in, close to the creek behind our tent at our campsite, and then we would go up on the property and we'd do other things, go hiking and take the thermal out and do things like that. But while we were gone, 30 minutes after we left, you hear a tree knock, a really nice tree knock, and some other noises. So we got really excited thinking, okay, they're here. That is great. That's good news. And so that kind of changed the trajectory from that point. At that point, we knew something was there, paying attention to us as we left our campsite. And anyone who's followed any Bigfoot research knows that a nice loud knock after you've left your campsite is usually a Bigfoot notifying other Bigfoots that the coast is clear or whatever. But so that tells you there's at least two, there in the proximity of our campsite in order for one to be doing a knock for another one to hear. So anyways, after that, the next day was Saturday, and that's when things really got interesting. We were coming back. It was late in the evening, still light. I believe it was still light. Uh, we were coming down the trail. Now, I had a GoPro on my head that for the first time, I'd been using a GoPro to try to document other things as they happened all the time. So I had used it quite a bit with no regard to whether or not I needed to change out a battery or anything. Like I said, I'm inexperienced, and this was the first time. So we're coming down this trail. It's a long, windy trail. It goes through a creek to get to our campsite. And Shane is riding on the back of my Polaris, and he's on the hitch so that he's standing up above the cab, and I'm down in the seat. And Ace, the seat down sits down between the tires, so I'm really low, sitting in this little buggy, and he's way up higher, looking over the top of it. Well, as we're flying down the trail, going to camp, and I go a little fast, just because it's fun, and the brush and the high weeds off to one side was moving quite a bit, like maybe we'd scared some animal off to the side of this trail, just right on the edge of the trail. And as I zoomed by, I had seen deer. We'd seen plenty of deer and armadillo and all kinds of stuff on this property. So that's not unusual, except this time, as we go by, Shane, and I didn't quite hear this because I'm down sitting right by the engine. So the engine's right by my head and I'm zooming along. And Shane said, "What the hell was that?" And when I had seen the brush move, I'm just assuming we flushed a deer or something. And so I'm just zooming on to camp, and we were very close to camp already. So it didn't take, just a couple of seconds to pull into the campsite and shut it off. And when I shut it off, Shane was still like, "Did you see that? Did you?" And I was like, "What? I saw the brush move. What did you see?" And he said that he saw black hair down low in the brush, heading away from us off the side of the trail. So I got my thermal camera and stuff, and we walked down there so that he could check out the area. And so I was trying to document it, and he found a track just inside that deep grass of a footprint, and you could see where the grass was laid down, and then the toes dug in as it pushed away from us. And he showed that to me, and you could see the toes. It was really great. So it appeared that, given the color of the creature and the size of it, that it was probably the juvenile male, Shane said, because he's seen both the male and the female, and the female has a different type of hair, not as groomed, maybe more puffy, maybe a lighter color. I don't know, but he just assumed that it was the male, the young male. So we were excited to find the print that documented that was probably what we were looking at in such close proximity to the camp. And this is after hearing the knock from the night before. So we were very excited at that point. We were like, "Man, okay, things are coming back into place. They're still around. This is great." So a little later, we were out walking in the other direction towards the lake and along the creek to get we were playing with the thermal. I'd bought 2 new headsets, wireless headsets. So we needed to experiment with those to see whether I could work him out to where we spot a thermal image, where I could move him around through the brush to locate a thermal image that I was picking up. So we were testing the headsets, the wireless headsets, and they work really great. So as we're going out there, we see deer, and there was a fawn way off to the side, in the grass, and we walked Shane out towards that, and because he doesn't have, all he has is a handheld light that he doesn't always turn on until he needs to. So he's just kind of walking in the dark, and I'm the only one that can see him and where he's going in relation to what I'm seeing on the thermal. So I say, go to the right or go to the left. Okay, keep going forward. I said, "Okay, you're very close. It's right there in the grass." And then he turned his light on. It was a baby fawn, and it hopped up and bounded off through the field and brush there. So we've got that video on the YouTube channel that you can see. But then again, we were heading on down and always scoping with my thermal camera for specific behaviors that we've learned over time that would indicate, what we're looking for, which is the Bigfoots. And their behavior is very specific. We've gotten deer and owls and all kinds of animals that are easy to identify. Even at night with thermal camera, they don't do anything different than they always do, which is meander through the woods, and you can easily see them. Bigfoots, on the other hand, keep their distance and do a lot of peeking and ducking and, just spying. And so we're looking for specific things. So when I see a heat signature that shows something round peeking, and I watch it, and then we actually said something to it. I think I waved. I was like, "Hey, buddy, I see you over there. I know you want to be friends." And the moment I waved at him and started talking, he goes, ducks down. And you can see the heat in the grass or the lower area that he stays right there. All he did was duck down and stay hidden. And then you see the head poke back up, and he pokes back up. And I was like, "Hi, buddy, I see you over there." And he ducks back down. So you see that 3 or 4 times, and you realize that is what we're looking at. That's one of them doing what they do. And so we interacted with it for about 20 minutes, trying to talk to it and show our hands and just, but we were trying to, and we did send Shane to try to go in to flush it out. But the difference between this one and the juvenile that he went up to in the field that one time, it was caught in the field, and there wasn't much it could do but stay put until he got there. This one, on the other hand, was behind a lot of brush, debris, down cedars, thickets, all the way back to the creek where it was peeking up. So it had the creek, which was afforded him a lot of cover to go in either direction if we encroached. So Shane started trying to work his way back in there, and I was directing him where to go, but he hit a wall of debris that he just couldn't get through. And so we had to think, how do you want to try to go around and get to it, knowing that it would vacate, and it could easily vacate, and we would not see how it vacated. So we had to make a determination at that point to not follow it, and hope that when we would go back to camp, it would just follow us back to camp, and we could continue with something else there. But so we didn't encroach on it much further than 12, 15 feet in that direction. But the next day, Shane went in there, found where it was, and it was next to the creek, where the creek takes a step down. So it was back into an area where it could pop up and still be relatively behind a berm as it dropped down into the creek bed. So, typical behavior, typical maneuvers where they move into positions where they can have an exit route and all that type of stuff. But I do want to say that with my Polaris, I really need. I just ordered a dash cam that's made for vehicles, and it's a Vantrue N4. I don't know, 640 or something like that. It's got it runs on a loop, so that when you're plugged into the cigarette lighter and when you're running the vehicle, it's constantly recording. Because we could have caught that one on the trail, even though all I saw was brush move. A camera could have picked up hair and stuff right there on the side of the trail. So it's very important that we get equipment as we need it, as we can afford it. It's about $250 for this camera, but I went ahead and ordered one and a couple of specific flash cards for it. But I'm excited to get it all hooked up. I also had to take the Polaris in as soon as I got home because we got a flat tire while we were out there. So I had to get a new tire, put on the spare, and it needs an oil change. So, this hobby is pretty expensive. I'm always dishing out all kinds of money to do this, but very excited about this game cam because it records on a loop where it goes through the whole, and then it'll rewrite over the oldest part of. So no matter what you're doing when you're driving around, if we see something in front of the vehicle, then we're going to know that it's caught on camera, and all we have to do is pull the flash card and download it, and we've got it. So it's also going to have a camera to the rear. I'm going to see if I can get that figured out too, because I don't have a window in the rear, but I'll have to figure out a way to mount that on the rear so you can record behind also. So very excited for this new piece of equipment. According to what happened this last time with that close proximity on the side of the trail, we've been going out there for a long time. This is the first time that has happened where one got caught right by the trail that we were zooming down. So it's still a rare occurrence, but we have to be prepared for it. So we are going to have this camera set up, and hopefully we can make sure that we capture anything that surprises us in the future. But anyways, go to Shane's channel, Ozark Mountain Sasquatch, and get updated on what's happening at the 400, because all I'm going to do is just try to do a running updates, as things happen. I'm not very fluent with laptops and technology. I'm trying my best. Mine is going to be very amateur, but I'm just about let's get this information out there. I'm excited about it. I've seen them, and it's a fascinating subject. And I hope, you guys tell your friends to join in, and I will put stuff on here whenever I can, in hopes to entertain you guys with the facts of what's going on out there. All right. Thank you.